Number 4 is acting skills. And we went over a little bit about this in the beginning, but we're going to go over it more now. So being a blackjack dealer, you're a dealer-tainer, you're an actor, you're an entertainer, you're a showman. You're basically there to entertain the guest and to keep the guest on the table for as long as possible, which means more money for the casinos, but also it means more money for you in Tokes. If you can make your table fun, regardless of whether the player is winning or losing, this creates a loyal tipping base that will continuously tip the dealer. Now, how do you do this? Again, every person is different, so let your personality shine through. Do what's natural for you. Jokes, riddles, comedy. I would tell stories. I would tell anecdotes. Some people, talk about what they enjoy, like they just talk about purely football or purely basketball or whatever it is. And then the players find the dealers that they enjoy, that they have a good time with, and then they stick with them. Again, community help. Learn from each other, learn useful bits of information about your players, for example. If someone find out a really good way to handle a player that is just acting like a complete ass, then share that with your coworkers, so that way your other coworkers don't have to be tormented by this player, for example. So again, yeah, so that's pretty much it for acting.
I like that a lot. Okay, so I was trying to take the notes. Dealer-tainer is a really cool term for table games. Totally makes sense. Poker is different because if you have everyone being entertained while they're playing, there's a lot of serious thought and decision making that gets ruined essentially in poker, and it doesn't work that way. And it's almost like the version of this for poker, in order to create the right experience, is to just create an environment where people can truly play poker. And by being accurate as a dealer, like all money and actions should be correct all the time. And by following the action at the table, so you see, if anything gets weird, you've seen it, right? Every single thing that happens is seen as you by the dealer. That's sort of where you put the attention. But I love the thing that you said. I teach this too, about using your own personality as a dealer. That's true for poker. There's less communication with the players, there's less interaction, but it's still there. And if you just, instead of trying to learn how to be a specific person, like everyone says, well, how do you be a dealer in terms of your personality? It's like, you don't. You use your personality, same thing that you teach, and you bring it into it. I'm not gonna say being motherly is something that I'm gonna do, but it works great if you have it in you, right? As a dealer. And there's all these different versions.
And also, too, casinos hire you based on your personality. So if you got hired as a dealer, you already got the right stuff. Now you just have to let yourself shine.
Yeah. Yesterday, I actually auditioned someone via video in another state, and it was for a job in a poker room. And it was really fascinating. This dealer is very experienced, and he came in and he was like changing the terms for things like raise and all that stuff into very colorful terms that were really, really likable. And I actually had to ask him a question in the audition, like, hey, if you were to work somewhere that told you you had to tone it down a bit, which is literally what we're talking about right now, if you were to work somewhere where you had to tone it down a bit, would you still enjoy working there? And it was like, because this is what poker is. This is one of the differences, right? Like toning it down, not getting rid of it, but bringing all the communication, having your personality do it, is really powerful.
Do you think poker dealers still have to dummy up and deal more than blackjack dealers do?
The higher the limit tournament is, well, the answer is yes. The higher the limit tournament is, the more of a yes it is. The higher stakes the cash game is, the more of a yes it is. As you get into some of these like really big games, you better not affect anything. That's all I can say. But it's nice because even if you mess up, the players will take care of it and just make sure you never deal there again. Like, it sort of is what it is. Yeah, you are not a part of the show. Now, I will say this though, if you're dealing 2-4 limit Texas Hold'em, then entertainment is fantastic. So the audition that I was just referring to from yesterday, they dealt both no limit and limit. And in limit, it was perfect. It was amazing. all the stuff that I just talked about not doing, you can sort of do it in Limit because it's not as much decision making. But in No Limit, no. Yeah, you got to be sort of versatile.
A calming presence. So a calming presence basically means the ability to stay calm and in control when things are stressful and a bit hectic. Customer service representatives always need to be really strong in this area in order to support their customers who think the world is falling apart. So nothing is ever gained by winning an argument with a losing player. It's not about who is right, it's about what is right. So who is right or wrong is irrelevant in this customer service industry, and it's unnecessary when it comes to what the right decision is that will give us the best outcome for the situation at hand. So whatever happens, remember, stay calm, be strong, don't freak out, and don't make a bad situation worse.
So I love that one as well. This is really enjoyable, I got to say, because it's not just conversation; it's very on point conversation. So the phrase "the customer is always right" just doesn't apply to casinos, because people get it from restaurants, and it's like you're not at a restaurant trying to take money off of them. It's just a different thing. Or in poker, you're not at a restaurant like playing for meals against other people.
If the customer was always right, they'd just walk up to the table and take handfuls of chips and be like, okay, I'm going to leave now. Thanks.
So you're absolutely. And your point about it's not who's right, it's about what is right is very on point. It's a good way to explain it. And it is similar in poker. Having a calming presence is absolutely on point. Let me see. Yeah, there is still a difference though with table games and poker for this, because in poker, when something is right for one player, it's going to affect the other players negatively sometimes. So it ends up becoming what's right in terms of the structure that was set out in advance for the game. In table games, there is a bit more flexibility to figure out what's right, but also sort of give to the player if that's really what's right. You can't do that if you're taking it from someone else's money because the player really was set up in a booby trap. They just have to follow the rules the way that they totally are. But at the end of the day, it's still the same thing. It's just implemented differently.